Greetings and God bless. I wanted to do a video for anybody that um, knows that they may have some comorbidity or elderly or disabled or something that could possibly end up with them in the hospital. This video is for you. So I was thinking about a family member that possibly was experiencing symptoms of a stroke, and maybe they were just trying to be tough. Maybe they weren't aware of the significance. So they ended up unable to communicate by the time they were in the hospital bed, and so everything was kind of like guesswork and unfinished business. Was big interference in the hospital room. Unspoken words between the family member who had the stroke and other people in the room, that for like a year or whatever, how many years. And so the person was able to open their eyes. They were able to respond. At least that's what somebody told me, a nurse told me. So they could comprehend. And one thing that they did was they held somebody's hand really strong for like 10 minutes. And so the person whose hand they held was like, what was it? Was it a symbol of hope? And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, was it a gesture of, I forgive you, or was it a gesture of I love you, or was it a gesture of please stay with me? Was it a gesture of help me? And that's kind of what I want to talk about when we're not surrounded by people with common sense, people who really have our interests at heart. And I've met more people than I can count who just shoo their loved ones into some assisted facility, and they do their little visits, and then the person dies. And of course I wasn't there, but it does seem kind of like a trend. You shut somebody up, have a bunch of strangers, $8 an hour, and then the person's not there for very long. Like, it's basically a soft kill institution. That's my observation. So if you're elderly, if you're disabled, if there's some sort of something that you have, some sort of disease that could leave you incapacitated, I would recommend making your wishes very clear to family, about your care, about your feelings about them, actually, and about your wishes, about your thoughts, your philosophy of life, or your thoughts on spirituality, because those are things that in that kind of crisis, like if you're incapacitated, your family may not know, especially if there's estranged family members. If everybody's estranged from you, from each other, folks are kind of trying to reverse engineer where you're coming from, if they even bother to care. So, and the doctors and nurses, I mean, they're checked out, and praise the Lord for when they are caring. Praise the Lord when they are a decent human being, because that's really kind of rare, even when you're not in an emergency situation. So, uh, so folks, please make your wishes known. Get clear about what kind of advocacy that you would want if you were incapacitated. Try to see if, if you're somebody who has any allies, like any real sincere people that won't poo poo your shortened life, because it seems like people are like, oh, your life is dispensable, whatever, like, get out of here, you're too much effort. And what I don't understand is, so there's all these documentaries I've watched, and news specials I've watched, and movies I've watched about somebody who was really devastated in some sort of accident or illness, and through the great efforts of everybody around them, they got better and then they're normal. Like, there's all this, and I see this all the time on YouTube for animals. Like, people will spend thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars on an animal, building something special for the animal, a special diet, and take them to some specialist, and whatever, build whatever for the animal. I mean, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many human beings out there who don't have a home, will never have a home because of whatever weird shenanigans going on in the real estate and international real estate, and weird profits that I don't understand. But people are spending all this effort, money, love on a little reptile or fish or mammal or whatever. And yeah, they're adorable. I love animals. But it's amazing because not only is that individual or that family devoting all that time to rehabilitate that camel, but there's like millions of people totally loving that video and totally ignoring the homeless person. And I'm not talking about like taking the scariest, creepiest, most psychotic homeless person home with you. But there's people who are in need, that are in your family, that are amongst your friends, that are your classmates, that maybe aren't straight up homeless or whatever, but people that could use help, people that need a job, that maybe somebody, people that could use some advice because maybe you're some sort of fashion guru or whatever, or people that could use those tomatoes you're growing, and you just have a little bit extra and you don't have to humiliate them because you're going to give them some tomatoes. Like, there are all sorts of ways to really make a difference. And I just see people so in the metaverse already, like and so vicariously living through what they're seeing online, but then like maybe um living for being online, living for the virtue signaling of what they're, what animal they're saving or whatever. Uh, but also just that they're devoting their life, and so many people apparently are devoting their lives to saving some singular creature or a whole bunch of creatures. And again, that is great, but there's not half as many people trying to save other humans' lives. Like, just human people. I'm not talking about this insane identity politics stuff. I'm just like, there are human beings. Like, people have been bombed since 2015 in a certain location by a certain government. Uh, and stuff happened in Afghanistan where this whole culture, all these people, what was it, 75 million, 74 million were killed through the bombing. And nobody knows about this, nobody cares, and but anyways, we're just obliviously paying our taxes so this government can bomb innocent people, and people are just going to keep doing the politically correct thing and virtue signaling what a wonderful person that they are, and they're going to live their comfortable life and do their travel and conspicuous consumption, and virtue signal that, yeah, they're rich enough to go to Bali, and yet they're so climate change enough that they have a Prius. And it's all this elitist crap. Uh, and it's disgusting. It's despicable. The like, just because
I
some.
want you to turn to, I want
Oh,
you to go to the book of Genesis, chapter 17.
I was just waiting for my Bible study to start. So, um, and it's probably just as well, because I'm just like virtue signaling people are repellent, and I'm kind of beginning to get disgusted by these people who just all these people who have so much time and money and energy to devote to saving a little goat or something like that. But nobody's interested in saving the kid next door, or the older person next door, or the family member in their own lives that needs help. So, anyways, if you're elderly, if you're disabled, if you're vulnerable in some way, just know that people may not have your interests at heart, and they may facilitate your early demise for expediency, because people do not have patience. They do not have that idealism where they're going to like try to save that goat, where they're going to try to save that camel or that horse or that dog or that kitten. All that effort that they put in to that, they're not going to put that in for you. They're not going to put that in for a human being. They're not going to rehab, some human being. They're going to rehab a dog with just two legs, because that makes a good GeoBeats story on YouTube. But it's not the same if it's a human being. It's a boring story. Nobody wants to nobody cares about some disabled, sick, elderly person with only one arm and one leg getting rehabbed. Nobody wants to hear that story, apparently. So if you're that person, and there's some risk, number one, pay attention to the symptoms. If you're having a stroke, if you think you're having a stroke, avoid being too proud. Ask for help. That's what I tried telling this one family member. I was like, call the ambulance if you're feeling a little whatever. And I'm thinking they were just trying to tough it out. So, of course, don't abuse calling 911. I lived in a place where people did that. They just, it was, I mean, that's despicable. It's despicable when the people that actually need help are abusing the help that's available. I don't understand that. And we're living in the satanic world, but just between you and your, and God, just pay attention to your symptoms. Be aware of what they may be. If you're on this border of danger, and try to make sure your wishes are known. Try to have somebody who can advocate for you. And if you can't find somebody to advocate for you, write things down. Try to write things down in a clear way. Um, you can go maybe to the bank, or you can ask the notary at the public library. You could write what your wishes are, and maybe ask them if they wouldn't mind reading it so that's legible. Leave that information with your doctor, like what your wishes are. Um, and that could be do not resuscitate or intubate. Do you want to be resuscitated? Do you want to be intubated? Should there ever be a situation? If you can open your eyes and move your hands and legs, do you still want care if you're still recovering from, let's say, an operation or something like that? And yeah, there's a million possibilities of what to plan for, but I just wanted to put this out there that, I didn't get to see it myself, but there was a family member and they couldn't speak, and people made decisions for them. And I think that people are going to make the most efficient, comfortable decisions for themselves that happen to be in the room, that aren't the people who are getting the plug pulled. And I don't know. I still don't know all the factors um, of a situation. I'm just putting that out there. That seems pretty intense, to not be able to speak, and other people have the power of life and death, just guessing what the person on the bed may be feeling. And you know uh, and sometimes people may not have the vulnerable person's interests at heart. And I'm beginning to wonder if that is the case. And maybe that's always been the case. And maybe I've just been naive all of my life, because I tend to, even though people are mean or whatever, they have different values. I'm like, you don't kill people. You don't deliberately hurt people. You don't deliberately frighten people. But that seems to be, uh, we're in this jungle now. It seems like we're in more of a jungle now, than when I was living in New York City, in the 80s, in the 70s and 80s. It's like, and I'm in South Dakota. So, just wanted to put that out there, in case this is relevant to somebody's prospective situation. And if you have loved ones that you care about, tell them what your wishes are. Ask them what their wishes are, and try to write things down, especially if you're a solo person that you don't have anybody to talk with. So anyways, God bless. Thanks for watching.